it is important to remain.
What's up, y'all? I have abducted a trot. No, I have not. But anyways, this is Comrade Henry de Groot, a very regal, poltroon-sounding name. But yeah, he's in Writers and Reformers. I mean, Reform and Revolution, right?
That's right. Yeah,
That's right. That's right. And I actually am pretty fond of like I'm not as sectarian as most Maoists. Like they hear ew trots ew, but like y'all have taken some pretty principled stances. Y'all didn't sign the Elias Rodriguez letter, but like the whole the within our lifetime statement regarding Jessica Tish, I was actually actually not all that surprised to see y'all sign it, but yeah, y'all have been making some pretty principled heavy stands. So head off to you. I'm going to put my head on because then I'm going to blind my viewers. But so what's up?
I just misinterpret our. I mean, it's maybe partially the name. You know, reform is in the name, but we're not reformists. We're revolutionaries, and we come from a proud tradition of revolutionaries. I think we're the only DSA caucus that can trace our organizational lineage, you know, all the way back to the, you know, the old communist movement. You know, we didn't just form from DSA members. We have a, you know, a continued a line of organizing, and you know, that comes from the CWI, from the from Socialist Alternative, Socialist Party of England and Wales, and we're revolutionaries. So we believe in revolution. We don't believe in reform, and but we believe in mass politics. We believe, and that's what we're gonna talk about tonight. How do we engage with reformists or progressives or liberals even, and what is the way that revolutionaries should engage with non-revolutionaries? Because it's very easy to be a revolutionary and just condemn everyone who's not, but there's more to being a revolutionary than that.
Yeah, Jesus, you almost sounded like Mao there for a little bit. So you kind of attracted a lot of attention and started a little Farrago. That's an old school Maoist term. It basically means wind. So you shared this. Zohran did a brief little, basically, like, this is the type of stuff that you hear at every like know your rights training. I've been to know your rights trainings. Like, of course, they're not going to tell you to go out and punch your nearest ICE agent, because know your rights trainings is just like literally that, know your rights. Like, what can you do legally? So let's see the portion that you excerpt.
Film ICE, as long as you do not interfere with an arrest.
So you are legally allowed to film ICE as long as you do not interfere with an arrest. So what would count as interfering? Practically anything that the cop says is interfering, anything that ICE says is interfering. Like, they were literally, like, I've seen them literally walk up and snatch cameras out of people's hands. Like, go on Twitter and you look at the videos. Like, there was a dude, he was just sitting in his car recording them, and they came up and knocked on his window about 3 or 4 deep, and they're like, "You cannot do that. Put your phone away, or you will be under arrest for interfering and obstruction." And the dude was literally explaining his rights. Like, I have the right to record. I'm not on your way. You guys are down there. You guys literally came over here to my vehicle and started fucking with me. So, like, they, why do they do this? Because they know that the things that they are doing, the vast majority of the public does not like, and there's a mass movement against it. Like in Chicago, like, they literally have been following these people around, blowing whistles, making noise, alerting people. So what I think the Trump administration is like trying to do is, with the whole NSM-7 type thing, they're trying to criminalize any modicum of dissent. Like DeSantis, his little fuck buddy down in Florida, issued a literally, like, this shit is illegal. Like, care.
Not DeSantis, that's Bill Clinton you're thinking of, but
yeah.
In terms of buddies.
Yeah, they issued a statement basically saying that care. First of all, I don't think states can like just declare organizations that are literally founded and headquartered in the U.S. as foreign terrorist organizations. Like, I'm pretty sure that in and of itself is illegal. But the thing is, like, we're dealing with people who do not give a shit about the law. They don't care what is and is not what is and is not legal. So I think that's that's what like there's kind of like a rift in DSA between people who basically limit themselves to what these people said that we can do, and people like you and me, revolutionaries, who are like, you know what, fuck these people, fuck these laws. Like, we are not going to overthrow this system, topple this system. Which I would say that the majority of people in DSA do believe that we need to topple the system, but the majority of people in DSA may not necessarily know what encompasses a revolution. So back to this. Let's finish this though.
It is important to remain calm.
It's important to, how the fuck are you going to remain calm when people are being snatched in front of you?
During any interaction with ICE or law enforcement. Do not impede their investigation, resist arrest, or run.
So basically what people are like, I saw a lot of stupidity on both sides. Like, you had people like, oh my God, the DSA once again tells people to bend over and accept it. And then you have people that are like, oh, well, Zohran is Zohran, and Zohran is going to do what Zohran. Look, why are you criticizing Zohran? Are you afraid of power? Are you allergic to power? Anyways, so why do y'all keep talking about Bannon Bonanno like he is some type of theoretician or something? He's basically a broke version of Fergie Chambers. Stop talking to me about this fucking ugly ass caveman looking ass dude. Anyways, so you said Zohran telling people encountering ICE, do not impede their investigation, resist arrest, or run. If you're being detained by ICE, you should resist arrest and run. And like the difference is, like, Zohran is the mayor-elect of New York. So just trying to, I'm rapidly running out of grace for this dude, to be honest, for reasons I'll explain later.
Let me just deal, because I think, I mean, it's understood. I could have been clearer in the tweet, but
no, let me be clear.
Let me be clear.
No,
it's, first of all, I didn't even criticize Zohran explicitly. I'm not sure even in any of the posts, even in the follow-up posts. There's know your rights, what you're legally allowed to do, and then there is the things that we should do, right? You're not allowed to run away if the cops say you're under arrest. But I believe that, I mean, it's up to immigrants to make, or undocumented people to make their own choices about their own safety. But ultimately, if you know that you're going to be deported, you may choose to run. And it's also a question of, there's a difference between being in handcuffs and an ICE van drives into your neighborhood. But even there was that video from Chicago of that man who was actively being detained, was physically being detained and didn't go quietly into the night. Presumably he's undocumented, although I guess that's not certain. But he didn't fight, he didn't attack ICE, but he continued to try to wrestle himself away. And there was another person who grabbed onto his arm, right, which is 100% impeding, or maybe more, and a bunch of other people who gathered around. Also on Canal Street, we saw people block trucks, right? There's a difference between, it's your right to legally, we can talk about legal rights versus natural or historic rights, but your legal right, you have the right to stand on the sidewalk and blow a whistle and record. And that's a good baseline. That's a low risk. It's not zero risk, because ICE, as you said, will even go after you if you do that. But I think everybody in DSA, even the video itself, was sort of silently uplifting what happened on Canal Street, which was people did interfere with the investigation, right? They did. I never said attack an ICE agent. I never said, anything to that nature. But the fact of the matter is, nonviolent direct action, which blocks ICE vehicles, is impeding. It is interfering, and that's good and righteous, and we should do that. Now,
I would dare say that it's more effective than like know your rights trainings are good, and of course I'm not going to like presume to tell undocumented people what to do, but like I would dare say that like what the comrades in Chicago have been doing, what the comrades in New Orleans have been doing, what the comrades on Canal Street did, I would dare say that's a lot more effective, because like every time I see one of those videos, 7 times out of 10, the ISIS list, depending on the size of the crowd and the militancy of the crowd, and we started seeing this in LA at the during this late spring, early summer. Like eventually, like these people are cowards. They just fucking give up. Be like, you know what, fuck this guy. Like you mentioned Chicago earlier. Like they were literally wrestling with the dude in the middle of the street for like 5 minutes, and the dude, he was like you said, he did not go gently into that whole Nacht und Nebel, I believe the Nazi term would be. He did not go peacefully, and people were like, yeah, leave this dude alone. Like he's on his way to work. Like, well, why are y'all like, go get real fucking jobs? And they were just yelling at him, blowing whistles, and they eventually just literally, this is a sign. Like this shows how like there's no legal basis for any of this. They're literally just fucking with these people because they're brown. And now in Minneapolis, they are targeting people that look Somali. And they literally just let the dude go and got back in their car and drove off to find somebody that's isolated to harass. So that type of stuff works. Is know your rights training still important? Yeah, but the thing is, like, we're dealing with people who do not care. Like these people, these ice pigs, these CBP people, they know this shit. They know what they can and cannot do. They do not care. Like these people literally have presidential carte blanche. They literally have a presidential blank check to do whatever the fuck they want. I said the other day that this is basically Trump rewarding the reactionary strata of the white lumpen proletariat. Like these guys, literally, they have no skills, they have no training, they have no ability to do anything but brutalize innocent people. So he's giving these guys $45,000 signing bonuses, paying it like a lot throughout history. There's always been a certain small strata of people who get off on and are very good at inflicting pain on other people. Like back in the day, they had ICE too. They were called knights. They were called lords retainers. And they would literally just go around beating and raping and tormenting peasants and stealing their potatoes and shit.
Yeah. I think in the 18th Brumaire, Marx talks about Louis Napoleon, the Emperor Napoleon's nephew, who was later the Emperor of France. He had, I think it was the Society of December 18th or something like that, but he talks about these criminal sort of conspiratorial elements that were basically on the payroll who went around brutalizing and carrying out the counter-revolution. And some of them were, you know, thugs or criminals that were hired on, or just people, who didn't really have much else to do economically and could be paid to, you know, carry out this brutalization. So anyway, the point with this Twitter post, I mean, I think everybody heard what they wanted to hear. I don't believe that most DSA moderates or people who are criticizing me actually oppose nonviolent militant direct action. And I don't think Zohran does either. And I don't think the spirit of the video is to inform people about their rights. It's not
literally, yeah, there's literally a video of him yelling and shouting at state troopers in Albany, I believe. So like the dude he's not against stuff like that.
Right.
But
the fact of the matter is he said what he said. The lines are verbatim what they are, and I don't agree with them. And so I think you have the right to say that. And I didn't call him names or anything. I just said I believe that people do.
You didn't call him Zohran?
I didn't call him Zohran, and
that's
I don't
our
think that's an effective way to win people over who maybe are, you know, there's maybe two wings of the left, and a lot of people in the middle, right, who are really excited and hopeful.
The advanced, the intermediate, and the backward, yes.
Yeah,
you mentioned you said the intermediate, like that's the people in the middle. That's the majority of people.
Yeah, I mean, you can say advanced versus backwards, or just revolutionary versus social democratic, and people who are more caught in between. I don't feel the need to denigrate social democrats by saying they're backwards.
No, it's not denigrating. It's just like referring to their it's just referring to like their position relative to the advanced, basically the people that are saying fuck America, revolution right now. And like, it's not like we're saying that they're inherently backward, because one thing that Maoism is about, it's about like everything is in constant transition, constant change, constant flux. Like we're you and me both are now a nanosecond closer to death. So we've been transformed.
That's true. That's true. And I think that dialectical approach of things.
Oh, one of our liberation comrades apparently thinks you're gay, Henry.
and beautiful. Thank you.
You
And
certainly have more hair than I do. Although I do see that hairline falling the fuck back.
I've actually had this hairline for a long time, so it's static. This is not dialectical. It's unchanging. But the point is that how do we engage with, like, it's easy for a revolutionary to look at Zohran today or 12 months ago and say Zohran is limited or will have limitations. That's easy. It's understandable why, a progressive or just a new DSA member might not think that. But when we recognize the limitations, is that the beginning or the end of the conversation, right? Is it the end of the conversation? We say, you have limitations, or Zohran or whoever has limitations, and therefore I'm writing you off, and I'm writing off all the people who are supportive or all the people who are hopeful and optimistic? Or is it the beginning? Yes, we know, of course, a social democratic politician has limitations, and this is the same with Bernie. It was obvious in 2016, and I was, around and in the movement.
Hey, me too, except I was on the opposite side. Were you ever a Bernie bro, Henry?
I'm sure that I would have been labeled a Bernie bro. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm proud of myself. I never was on the Bernie hype train. I was a Maoist in 2016.
Okay. Well, I was a Trotskyist in 2016, and we.
Oh, no wonder you were on the Bernie train.
We believe that the Bernie movement was positive. It was a step forward for most people. To go from Obama to Bernie was a tremendous step forward. That doesn't mean that Bernie himself is without contradictions. It means that a mass movement is underway of the growing of consciousness, right? And so if we want to be able to win those people over, if we want to be able to have an ear of the people who are excited around Zohran, then
it's not just a matter of winning them over, though. It's not just a matter of winning them over. It's a matter of developing their politics as well. Like I keep telling people, like we cannot just recruit a bunch of social democrats and liberals into DSA and allow them to remain social democrats and liberals.
That's true. I guess I was more talking about DSA members who are sort of vague democratic socialists, and by win them over, I meant have them actually listen with and engage in conversation with us, right? If we just say Zohran, they just ignore us. They don't consider our, only the ones who are.
Yeah, I'm not really a big fan of the whole. I love Kalawash. She's a very dedicated, strong-minded, brave comrade. But at the same time, like a lot of the discourse that comrades from her particular wing of the left engage in, it seems more like I just don't find it productive. Like it's basically shoring up people preaching to the choir, shoring up people who already agree with you.
Right.
And millions of I want these people that are Zohran stance. I want the Z Hive. Like I eventually want them saying fuck America. But at the same time, like you have to meet people where they are. Like there's literally a Maoist term. Mao did not go around saying death to China, fuck yeah, death to that. Like, no, you have to basically take the aspects of things that you agree on. You have to take the aspects of things that you agree on with people, and you have to, as Fred Hampton would say, stretch those contradictions as far as they'll go. Yeah. And I think a lot of Maoist comrades they fail to understand that, and I think that just by chanting slogans at people or trying to recruit just other ultra leftists, and I use that term lovingly. Because to many people, I'm an ultra-leftist. Although in my caucus, I would probably be center. Well, depending on the day or depending on what we're talking about, I either center-left or either center-right. The main thing is, when you're in an organization like DSA, even though we joke, Trot suck, we're all in this thing together. And if we're, divided, in constant positional warfare with each other, it's the whole fucking thing is going to fall apart. And I don't think that would be a benefit to anybody. Certainly would be a benefit to the masses.
Yeah. And I think there's a great example from the Russian Marxist movement, from the Bolshevik movement, maybe sort of pre-Bolshevik, but the Father Gapon and the St. Petersburg. I forget the exact title.
Wasn't that the guy that led the march on the Winter Palace that ended up getting massacred?
Right, and he was a police. He was not a police spy himself, but the governor. I think like in spring of 1904, maybe it was 1903, but I think it was 1904. He was doing some of that work, and when they launched that organization, the governor of St. Petersburg was there, right? The police interior minister signed off. It was basically a controlled opposition group, right? And first of all, led by an Orthodox priest. Second of all, backed by the Tsar's government, right? And surveilled. And the Bolsheviks didn't say, we're writing off this whole movement. They went in and they got involved in the movement, and especially the leading women Bolsheviks helped to build up that mass movement. Push Gapon, he actually also, for some reason, he went away for the summer. He went, I don't know, out into the countryside, as many did. And so he wasn't there the whole sort of summer of 19...
He was a Maoist, it sounds like. Maoists love the countryside.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he was doing, but hunting maybe. But he, basically they had the whole summer free, so they pushed it forward. And he also had his own ambitions, and so they kind of played him. He had his own aspirations. And so they were able to engage in this totally, from the beginning, a compromised, basically PSYOP organization, and they were able to develop it into a mass mobilization, a mass movement of the working class that even before, a couple of weeks before that massacre in January of 1905 and December of 1904, that union, that organization was leading strikes throughout St. Petersburg. And so if they could have just said, and they would have been far more justified than in terms of writing off Zohran, that literally this was a police spy operation backed by the Tsar's government, but they still participated. They got their hands dirty, and they were able to develop the contradictions and with a positive impact because it had, the protection. They were able to organize, and they were able to organize within it. So I think that is a good example.
Parallel, yeah.
So
let's scroll through some of these quotes. That some of them are pretty funny. This kind of post comes out of a place of individual heroic fantasy that treats marginalized people as props in your cool narrative about how you punched ice. Everybody clapped. How did you extract this from basically what you said?
I get why people read into it what they want to read into it, and there's a bunch of people calling me feds, and I faced down the police many times, been to jail and whatever. But that's okay. That's what people are going to do. So I was more interested in talking about, the Twitter posts, whatever, it's dramatic, but I think the Tish stuff, and I don't know that much about it, but now there's this question around Brad Lander.
Hold on. So Zohran is basically endorsing this guy. He ran against him in the primary, and apparently they're friends. So you have Alexa Aviles, who is exploring running for the same seat, NY10, the 10th congressional district, and Zohran is apparently foregoing her, basically to endorse a guy who is not a member of DSA. And it's funny because I see a lot of New York City DSA people madder at this than they are at Zohran keeping Tish.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It's just permanent wonk brain, I guess.
Well, it's just because this contradiction hits at the practical heart of, they weren't interested in, those people are not involved in selecting police commissioners, but they are deeply, deeply involved in putting forward and running and backing campaigns, and they believe in this project. And even if they were willing to accept some concessions or allow Zohran to, go off script or whatever, however you want to describe it, this is a real in the back.
It's a fucking, it's a big step. It's just common sense. Okay. If you are a member of DSA, okay, immediately after Zohran won, every DSA branch around the country, gave him congratulations, I saw in Atlanta that they even have caucus that will not remain named even put Zohran on their on the materials that they were handing out. So like, why? So you owe your position in large part to Democratic Socialists of America. You've been in DSA since before you were running for stuff. Like you have an activist background, and Zohran is not stupid. Like stupid people do not become mayor of New York City at the ripe old age of 34. He's not a dumb person. So why the fuck would you openly like let these feelers be put out that you are going to endorse somebody over a member of your own organization? Like we're not a democratic centralist organization. That's true. If we were, both you and me probably would have been expelled. But why the fuck? It just looks fucking on top of the Tish stuff, on top of you deciding you want to fill up your transition committee with yimbies and all types of other trash, and now like you literally fuck over a comrade from your own organization. Like that.
Yeah, I mean the political
and like there is no sense for this.
Yeah, I mean the political logic. I would guess. I don't know, but I would guess that this was likely something that was, decided. I mean Brad Lander and Zohran's cross endorsement was incredibly important for Zohran's campaign. And Lander.
But what about the fucking thousands of people, hundreds of people who came from all across the country, rank and file DSA members who came to New York to knock doors for you?
Yeah, no
like
doubt.
Those people feel like those people undoubtedly like that's a betrayal. Like you never ever, like one thing that the history of movements will tell you is that sure, like yeah, you have other big names that endorse you, Brad Lander, whoever, but like you can't forget about the nameless people that volunteered. Like they literally came across work for you for free because they believe in you and you got them excited, and you turn around and you betray them. That's not you can't do that. That's simply not done. Now you've pissed. Now you basically it's like he's willfully trying to fracture the progressive radical base that put him where he is. Because if you keep pissing people off, like I've seen people who either didn't give a shit about or who were openly critical of the within our lifetime letter, but like they're literally living now.
Yeah, it's true. Absolutely. And I think it's possible that this was, a serious tactical mistake for Zohran, because he really is isolating or potentially alienating a lot of his biggest defenders who were willing to.
My thing, I think he's doing these things intentionally. Like he's like, okay, you know what? I'm the fucking mayor of New York. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all coming knocking doors for me. You guys are awesome, but I run shit now. I'm gonna run this shit as I see fit. I think that's the message that he's trying to say.
Well, I think it's less of like, it's like capitalism isn't about personal greed, right? It's about the structural forces of capitalism and the profit motive, right? This isn't about. I don't think it's about Zohran big dogging. It's about the fact that he is trying to navigate between the movement and the establishment, right? He has to triangulate, or he's trying to triangulate, because that is what you have to do when you try to run and join the institution, right? There's two options. You can either be for a fundamental break with the system, or you
which
can
Zohran is not,
and incorporate in it. And that's just the larger historic truth of social democracy is that whether individual people are well-intentioned is much less relevant than an understanding that, and you have to be prepared in advance, and you have to have a team and a movement that understands it. The only way forward to where we can both advance and stay true to our politics and our movement is to escalate the class struggle. Right.
And I think a major like flaw with Zohran and his relationship to DSA is that the DSA people that were like in his inner circle, so to speak, like they didn't really they didn't have our type of politics. Like they basically have the same type of social democratic politics that Zohran has. So like when you surround yourself with yes men and women and non-binary people and sycophants, like you're gonna be in a bubble and like you're gonna be like what I read the other day, he's apparently like not taking the within our lifetime letter seriously. Why? Because the people that he surrounded himself with
The
that
guy,
interview.
yeah, with Patrick Gaspard. I thought that was actually, of all these things, honestly, also, I thought it was the New York Times editorial board. It's just some random collective of journalists that call themselves the New York editorial board, which is very confusing. But I don't know why he did that interview. It's definitely not going to help Zohran, and it's incredibly damning. If you look into who this guy is, first, look, Zohran is from, an elite family. He met lots of elite people. You can't hold that against him. It's good that instead of following that path, he came into the movement. I think that's commendable. But so I can't fault him for, meeting this guy on his mom's movie set when he was 22. But the point is, who is this guy, and to what extent was he influential, as he's sort of boasting and bragging about, in Zohran's campaign, pretty early on. This guy is the executive, or I don't know if he still is, but the executive director for the Center for American Progress. That's the Clinton think tank. That is one of, if not the leading neoliberal think tanks on the Democratic Party side. If we talk about democratic neoliberalism, the think tank that was founded by John Podesta, right? And he was he was in the Biden administration. He was an ambassador to South Africa. You don't become an ambassador without being part of the establishment. Although, interestingly, he worked for David Dinkins, and so he helped elect a previous DSA mayor. But anyway, the point is...
Yeah, except David Dinkins' DSA is radically different than the Ramamdani's DSA.
Curiosity.
When people bring up like that whole Dinkins era, like late 80s, early 90s, like I tell them like SMC and Groundwork would have been ultras in the DSA of the early 90s.
Yeah, I don't know enough about it, to be honest. But the point is that here is one of the leaders of the Democratic establishment, not just some person who happens to be institutional. No, he is a leader. He is a, major general in the Democratic Party sort of apparatus, right? The Center for American Progress is like, people talk about, the Democratic Party doesn't really exist, or sort of the party itself, the legal party. And also he was the chair of the DNC too. So in terms of that, the formal party actually exists. He was also in charge of that. But in terms of the Democratic Party as the sort of nexus of networks and politicians and donors and think tanks that actually make up that coalition, he's one of the key leaders. Neera is not he replaced her. She stepped down.
This must be old information then, unless they brought her back.
Yeah. So
all these people look like they've never worked a day in their life.
Yeah, I think one of my cousins works here. I don't see him on there.
Well, look at you. You're from an elite family too.
One of my other cousins, we're all cousins, is the one of the founders of Red Star. So it's all.
Yeah. You're not on the. So yeah, you're a DSA nepo baby.
Not exactly, but yeah. Anyway,
look at all these white people and.
Well, they're not all. No, they're nicely diverse, but they're all smiling. They all seem happy.
Yeah, that's how you can tell somebody's never worked a day in their lives. What the fuck are you smiling for? Well, this is like a picture from 1991.
They work very hard, but they work hard in the interest of the billionaire class.
Hey, look, a manly.
And there he is.
Here he is.
Yeah, I don't know why he's
distinguished senior fellow.
Yeah,
let's find out about Mr. Gaspard.
I guess
he was a key figure in Barack Obama's administration and served as U.S. ambassador to the Republic of South Africa. From fall 2011 until spring of 2013, Gaspard served as the executive director of the DNC, where he steered the National Party's role in reelecting the president and oversaw a $300 million budget and 500 staff. From 2009 until 2011, he was the president's assistant and director of the White House Office of Political Affairs. He was also the associate director of Personnel for the Obama transition and the National Political Director for the historic 2008 campaign. Gaspard most recently served as president of the Open Society Foundations, one of the largest private philanthropists in the world. He joined the foundation as its global vice president, responsible for its regional programs across 5 continents.
Have you ever looked into George Soros and the validity of the Soros?
Yeah, it's fucking. Yeah, this shit goes way mad deep. He went to Columbia and has an honorary doctorate from both Columbia and Bard. He's an old union labor aristocrat. He started as a union organizer.
Yeah.
And was eventually executive vice president for the local 1199 branch of the SEIU. Yeah, this guy is fucking compromised from top to bottom. He's got some nasty affiliations there. He's
a leader, to put it more politely. He's a leader of the neoliberal wing of the Democratic Party, and it should be concerning that. And look, I'm not
that he has Zohran's ear. Like, yeah, why would you want anything to do with this guy? If you are not dedicated to trying to basically speed run AOC's rapprochement with the neoliberal establishment within the Democrats, why the fuck do you have this guy around you?
Yeah, I mean, sir. I mean, let's answer the question. Why would you have him around you? Because he brings powerful connections. He helps to placate the business,
and that's what you care about more than your grassroots base. Like, you care about political connections and you care about building personal power for yourself, just like AOC.
Yeah, I mean, whether it's about personal power or whether it's just about winning.
Oh, come on, Henry. You see, one thing that y'all can learn from Maoists is just call the shit what it is. Yeah, this is what he's doing.
Yeah,
these are the people. These are the people. He sees Brad Lander and Gaspard and
there's plenty.
All these up.
If you're charitable with people, there's still plenty to criticize. Yeah. But I don't really disagree. But I think Comrade should be. I mean, I don't think he should have done this interview because he basically gave away the whole fucking game. Yeah, I mean, it's just a huge own goal because he doesn't need the help. He doesn't need to be tied with Zohran like he's already made. Zohran doesn't need to be tied with him, and he gives all this insight into, I mean, literally he's saying, I'm trying to get Zohran to moderate. And then I don't know if you want to go to the Tish thing, where he talks about.
Yeah, let's go. Hold on. Let me scroll. This is a long ass interview. One thing I hate about reading when the bourgeoisie writes or when their representatives write, I just hate how it's just fucking long winded. Like this interview, if I was giving this interview, well, I wouldn't give this interview because I'm not a fucking neoliberal shill. But it would be way shorter. So yeah, he's talking about this whole this is basically making a lot of these sock dems go backwards because now they're talking like GOP Republicans about she keeps crime under control. I'm like, bro, okay, keep what? You have the systemic analysis. You know where crime comes from. Yet you're keeping this fucking Zionist that loves smashing people's fucking heads in and suppressing Palestinian solidarity demonstrators because she lowers crime. And people old ladies do not like getting mugged on their way to church.
Yeah,
but still,
the story about Jessica Tish is much. I mean, people say, oh, she went to Israel, she learned from the IDF, or just that she led the NYPD when it was pursuing the encampments. Those are all bad, but that's not the real story about who Jessica Tish is and what she represents and why he's keeping her. Right? Why he decided to keep her on, which is, as the White House came out and said it, we are pleased that Zohran, decided to keep Tish. Jessica Tish represents and personifies this connection with the top layers, not just a Zionist, not just a rabid Zionist, but the top layers of the American Zionist movement. Her grandfather
Who the fuck are you, Henry?
I'm just a dude, man. What can I say? Apparently a gay dude, but it remains to be seen. But the point is that Jessica Tisch is, I mean, her grandfather, first of all, was, you know, he wasn't in the OSS, but he was attached to the OSS, Office of Strategic Services. That's the foreground of the CIA. Was then a billionaire, very successful businessman. But he was part of the study group, the Mega Group, which included Leslie Wexner, as well as Bronfman and Steven Spielberg, and another, some say 8, some say 50 of the richest, most powerful Zionist billionaires, right? And so you look at her career, it's really interesting. She worked for the White House. It's on her NYC resume, but you can't find anything about it. I spent quite a long time.
So it just says White House on her resume.
It says that she worked for the Domestic Policy Advisory Board, I believe, and it's almost it's not with a date, but very likely it's between her undergrad and when she started her JD. So she graduated undergrad from Harvard in 2003. She finished her JD MBA in 2008. So
this was under Bush.
Under Bush, 2003, 2004, maybe as late as 2005, she was working for Bush. And then she went, and you can piece these clues together of what people were doing based on the rest of their resume. The fact that then she went into tech and surveillance suggests that, well, what was the Domestic Policy Advisory Board doing at that time? A number of things, but one of the main things that they were doing is orchestrating and architecting the post 9/11 security state, in terms of surveillance, in terms of the fusion centers, right, between federal and state and local law enforcement. And so, you know, she had just graduated undergrad. It's not likely that she played, you know, a key role, but she was being, you know, trained and groomed. And obviously she's the daughter of one of the most powerful billionaire families. So, you know, she's not a regular intern or a regular, you know, legislative aide or whatever. People are, you know, shepherding her around, and she's getting lots of support and promotion. And also just, she was a Republican. She was working for the Republicans. And so just odd to keep, even for a Democrat to keep.
That's the thing. Like every mayor, if I recall correctly, like Zohran is breaking 150 years of precedent. Every incoming mayor of New York City appoints his or her own police commissioner.
Yeah.
So this is like you keep mentioning, like this is what happens when you end up in this executive position and people are so fucking starstruck. Oh my God, Zohran, yay. And like they either are not paying attention to the backgrounds and history of the people that you are choosing to surround yourself with, or they do not see the dead failures that have happened when people who call themselves socialists but are really social democrats end up in these executive positions. Like, you have to actually have a tight, principled, revolutionary group of people around you. Otherwise, you're going to fuck some shit up, and you're going to make your organization look bad, and you're going to make the people that help put you where you are, the hundreds of thousands of people that came from all across the country, the people that believed in you, the people that believed in what you represented or what you claim to represent. Now you've basically fucked them over, and they're not going to come work for you no more. They'll be like, oh man, I helped get this man elected, and he turned around and he endorsed somebody for NY10 that's not even in his own fucking organization.
Yeah.
So it's like, the thing with me is like, I'm blunt. Like, I don't do like whole roundabout. Well, maybe he doesn't know. It's like the man hasn't even taken office yet, and he's already just fucking scored for DSA at least L after L after L after L.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think it'll be much more. I mean, for those who want to, who see that and want to expose that. Unfortunately, the reality is he's also going to, it's not unfortunate, but he's also going to score a bunch of W's, right? He's going to be able to deliver a bunch of popular programs when on inauguration, I think it's January 1st, but when he's inaugurated, there will be another amazing upswell of popular sentiment. And then every time he's able to roll out a new popular program, people are rightly going to be very happy. But it's going to be, he has a long runway in terms of being able to just do better than Eric Adams or
a fucking ham sandwich that's been sitting on the fucking counter for 5 weeks could do better than Eric Adams. Probably one of the most incompetent mayors in the history of the city of New York. He spent more time kissing Israeli ass than actually governing his city. But I kind of disagree. I kind of disagree with regard to the W's. Like he may be able to get. The thing with social democracy is that they'll promise you these things. And they might like implement maybe a third of it. But politicians always do this though. Like they promise you, like one of the most weird things that I've noticed about DSA is that a lot of the people that get excited, I'm not gonna lie, I was excited. Okay, I was excited. We're mayor of New York fucking city. Whoop-de-doo. But like anybody that knows anything about politicians, like that they lie. They'll promise you the moon and the stars above. And then when they're in office, they might give you a few things. There might be one community operated grocery store. There might be, they promise you free buses all over the city, free subway train. Yay. And then next thing you know, one janky ass line that don't even take you nowhere. And that's free.
I think you might be underestimating the extent of positive reforms that, hey, Danny. The extent of positive reforms that he actually will, like, I think actually, okay, if the average politician does 10 or 20%, he'll be able to deliver maybe 30, 40, 50, 60%. So the point isn't that that's enough. The point isn't that it isn't a broken promise. The point is that in terms of the mass sentiment, in terms of the mass awareness around is Zohran doing a good job or not, he will be able to deliver a good number of reforms that will maintain his approval rating or etc. Even as these, every day there's a new problematic instance for us to talk about on stream, right? And so the point isn't that that's not what's happening. I just think we should be careful not to underestimate the potential pacifying effect that because even we don't have social democrats in this country, right? So even if social democrats are limited, when one really does come
if we don't have social democrats in this country, then who is Zohran?
No, I mean before Zohran, right? Like there isn't. When we elect social democrats, they're the first ones in a very long time, and so they actually are able to carry out much more than the Democrats would, and so people will experience that in their daily lives as positive reforms, and that will bolster his legitimacy, even as he's doing these other things. So I think it's important for us to be realistic about what's possible. Actually, he can do more, or it's likely that he will do more. That doesn't excuse. In fact, it complicates our task, right? It would be much easier if your desire is just to criticize. It would be much easier to criticize if he just totally failed to deliver any of the reforms. My point is, actually, we have to be much more skillful. It's much more challenging to continue to put forward a principled politics when he will be able to deliver, hopefully, as much positive reforms as possible, because ultimately we do.
We're not accelerationists. Right. Like that's what people like Ban Empanada are. Like it seems like they just want people that live in the global north to suffer out of some, some weird blend of sadism masking their masochism. They hate themselves, so they hate everybody else. But those people are not serious political actors. DSA is. So, one main thing I would say is, like, I'm just tired of our organization being fucking embarrassed over and over. Like, people, like, especially with these big time L's that he's taking and the way that we're being criticized from the left. Did you watch the co-chair's interview on Breakthrough earlier?
No.
It was like 40 minutes. It was yeah, they had she had Ashik and Meg on the like literal title was "Can the DSA hold Mamdani accountable?" But like this is what happens when you like, especially when you get these high profile electeds. If there's really no like hard organizational strategy and like things that are expected of these people, of course they're gonna do whatever the fuck they want. So again, that's just even more of a sign that we need to begin to actually seriously move towards a party. And we made a very important step in that direction at convention with the passing of that of the MUG resolution, Principles of Party Building. But like, and I'm not saying that we should rush it, because when you rush it, you generally fuck shit up. But like, I'm just tired of like every W that we get comes with like 4 or 5 L's. So would that really?
Don't attach your hopes and ego to big DSA doing what it says it will. You'll be much better off if you have a belief that things will unfold through contradictions. But yeah, let's check this out.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. What I was talking about. Hold on.
Personally, actually get people to do work, but also to find people who can organize. So much of organizing its delegation, and so he, found a good batch of people right below him to kind of deal with field and comms and all those things. So it's coming out of that organizing milieu is going to mean not only a powerful political, machine ability, but also the constant and regular feedback that lets you really be a politician of the people and really hear from the folks who you're there to represent.
And with that in mind, of course, there's a couple things that have taken place where, I think after there was like the excitement of the winning, and then a few weeks have gone by, a few things have happened. And I think we can look at some of these things with a bit more of a critical eye. And I would imagine, DSA is looking at some things with more of a critical eye too. So I'd love to get your perspective on this, because as I'm sure you've seen, many people, even very ardent supporters, were confused or maybe even very upset by Zohran Mamdani keeping on Jessica Tisch as NYPD police commissioner. And I want to ask this very respectfully, but also very honestly, because this is, a lot of this is coming from activists, especially Palestinians, especially students who have been active around that issue, because we know that Tisch is not some neutral person. I mean, I know you guys know, I'm just kind of laying this out for the audience. She comes from this very billionaire Zionist family. She oversaw the NYPD crackdown on the 2024 pro-Palestine campus encampments. She defended the mass arrests at Columbia and CUNY. She basically helped train the NYPD to understand the keffiyeh and the watermelon as symbols of anti-Semitism, and sort of on and on and on. She's very hawkish when it comes to the genocide in Gaza, because I guess there is like a spectrum of support for genocide somehow in this country, and she's a pretty ardent supporter of it. So all that's to say, obviously the criticism has been that he's kept her on. So the question, I guess, from like the movement people becomes, why keep someone who actively criminalizes the Palestine Solidarity Movement? And Trump, by the way, even loves for that very reason, among others. And maybe there is, I'd love to hear from you guys. I don't know, maybe you guys are critical of this as well. Like what is the political or moral logic behind that decision? And I guess DSA stand on that decision?
Yeah, I can start answering. I think, there's a whole range of, it's a big question that is really hard. I don't think any of us, I don't think either of us are happy about, keeping somebody like that on. I think it raises a lot of big questions about, just about power and about governing that, we're not coming into this with a fully fleshed out program for how we govern a city like New York City and enact a left agenda. So I think, part of this is being self-critical and honest about what we think our power is, and there's going to be a whole range of perspectives across,
it's such a non-answer,
across the broader left, and I think people should be critical and have a critical eye.
What's that?
It's good that he says people should be critical, but before that, he basically says, basically, like, you don't need a program for how you're going to run NYC to not reappoint a Zionist police commissioner, right? And
you are down bad, bruh.
So, and he basically says we're too weak, right? So anyway,
now, how the fuck are we weak and we just elected? Like these fucking excuses that keep fucking irritating me. Like, bruh. And you're like, oh, it's a non-answer. Yeah, no shit. Look who's talking. Anyways, love you still a sheep.
About roles like these. To me, just even before this decision came to appoint Jessica Tisch, or reappoint her, a lot of questions were coming up about just how to orient to policing in general, like just knowing that he could win and then be in charge of the NYPD, which is larger than many militaries around the world, right? Just at a basic level, that's a big thorny question that I think people in left governments in throughout the global south have struggled with. Throughout Latin America, this has been a pretty critical question of how does the left party relate to the military, right? So I think just with the left being so new, like everything Megan was saying about how we're learning a lot as we go along.
Mao answered that. Every revolution has answered this question. You cannot lay hold of the existing government apparatus and try to turn it to your own. Jesus Christ. My God. You cannot lay hold of an institution that was established to capture slaves and try to, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's, some people would just say, oh, never run for executive office. And I would say if you do not have, you have to have a base. Otherwise, you're going to feel isolated. You're going to have all these different bourgeois institutions pulling at you. The Center for American, whatever the fuck, American Progress. Yeah, you're going to have all these institutions pulling at you. And like Nino Brown said in New Jack City, money talks, bullshit runs a marathon. So when that money starts pulling at you, when you start hearing them dollar signs in your head, I don't think that Zohran is an entirely unprincipled person, but just looking at how he's moved since getting elected, especially with this shit that happened today, I'm off the hopium now. I think you were too on the hopium to begin with, but
it
doesn't mean that the progressive, right? I mean, even capitalism itself, right, at one time was a progressive force versus
it ain't no more.
It's
a moribund force. It's a dying force.
It's overall, but there's even still some instances where capitalism, anyway, we don't need to go there. But the point is,
it's New York City in the United States is not one of those instances. So I don't know why you brought it up.
No, the point is that every force has a progressive and a regressive existence, right? And so, but this is all kind of silly because at the end of the day, you don't need a base to not appoint Tisch, to not reappoint Tisch. But I do think what this does represent is an underestimation of what the establishment is and the forces behind the scenes, the deep state, the way that Zionists and billionaires control and influence these. And we can talk about, Donald Trump's long ties to the Zionist movement and Roy Cohn and, that kind of thing. Probably Donald Trump and, Tisch's family have, been at the same functions for 5, 6, 7 decades, 5 or 6 decades. And so, it's a little underwhelming, but I think there's still, we should still take a understanding approach to people who are still excited or do still have hope. But there are a lot of people, as many people as there was, criticizing me for saying we should shoot ICE, which I never said. There was just as many people who were saying, wow, I'm really disappointed. And it is kind of, it's disheartening. I hate to see people lose hope. I hate to see people be disappointed, even if it brings them closer to reality, because it's hope and it's inspiration in our
honestly, I lean towards a reality check, especially when it comes to white people. Like, like shit. Like black people, we don't really have the privilege of a bubble to live in. Like even as
You were on
kids,
the Hopium. You were on the
I
Hopium,
was,
my guy.
I
You were
was for a little bit.
more
I mean,
Zohran than I was.
look, I never said that the man was Leonard Reborn. I said that okay, this is going to provide hope for a lot of people. But like, yeah, yeah, believe me, I've got enough shit from people in my own caucus. I don't need any shit from a trot. Anyways, so like,
what do you think about Trotsky's train?
huh? The armored train?
The armored train. Let's talk transit. Fuck a free bus. What about a free armored train? Think about
Yeah,
that.
I'd take a free armored train, and I totally wouldn't tie you to the tracks in front of it like a fucking old timey cartoon. I'd want an armored train. Like a lot of people shit on Trotsky for no reason. They act like he was just like an academic that did nothing. Like the dude was out in the trenches. He literally founded the Red Army for fuck's sake.
He did. He helped win the war.
When are you going to found the Red Army, Henry?
Innovated. I can't comment on that, but he innovated the first 5-year plan, and he helped lead the October Revolution. What if the lever?
Is that
AJ?
Yeah, it's AJ. The fucking Mao trot. I know 2 Mao trots from your caucus.
Well, give me the names and we'll boot them. I'm just kidding. No, I mean, I think Mao is first of all, much better than Stalin. I think there's a lot to learn from Mao, and also just Mao was incredibly theoretically gifted, where Stalin was really just a poor theoretician. Stalin
wrote like a bureaucrat because he was.
Yeah, probably that was literally stuff. But I mean, I read his stuff. I mean, you read dialectical and historical materials. And
wait, you've read Stalin, and your eyes haven't melted out of your head?
I think it's an okay book. It's like dialectics without the dialect. Like Trotsky talks about the succulence of dialectics. That it's
succulence of dialectics.
He does ABCs of dialectics, I believe. And so historical and dialectical materials, Stalin, which I have right over here, is technically correct, but it sort of lacks that internal. It's like talking about dynamism without in an undynamic way. So I still think
it's wild that y'all be reading the people that killed your boy, though.
He killed Trotsky, and that was a huge shame, a huge blow to the revolutionary movement. Mao, on the other hand, I think is much like threefold stronger theoretically.
Mao would have just sent Trotsky to the countryside and had him like, I don't know, be a village school teacher or something.
Well, they did send Trotsky to Altai in Kazakhstan, just over the Chinese border, actually, like in Russia, but maybe Tajikistan. So
Kazakhstan is nowhere near China, is it?
The east of Kazakhstan is close to China. It might be Tajikistan. My Central Asian geography is limited, but he was in Almaty.
No, they do. Shit, they do share a border.
Yeah. Did you know that another part of Kazakhstan is in Europe? West European Kazakhstan.
Yeah, it's a big ass country.
It's a big country. So they did send him to the countryside, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think
I have read Trotsky. I've read The Revolution of Betrayed, and another thing, the transitional program thingy. I don't remember any of it, so that's I guess that means it's not really all that useful. But anyways,
you should read Terrorism and Communism.
Oh yeah, that's the other one I've read.
Yeah,
that was actually one of Stalin's favorite books.
That doesn't surprise me actually, but it's a great book, and I like it because it makes the case in such an extreme way. Well, it's easy to sort of pander and say, democracy is good, etc. But
democracy for the working class, dictatorship for the enemies,
right? And so I think it's a very valuable text. But also just, a lot of Trotsky's writings, even I guess they would have burned them, but like even before there was a split, whatever, are just a key part of the Leninist canon, and should be studied as Trotsky should study, what Stalin was writing at that time. And I think
Mao literally said that like all this whole censorship and banning of books, like Mao literally said that we should print Chiang Kai-shek's collected works and teach it by negative example. That's what I believe in. Like, let 100 flowers bloom. The masses will determine what is correct and what isn't correct. The masses aren't stupid. Like when you start talking about repression directed at the masses of the people, that's like when you start fucking up, because we're supposed to be liberating the people from that shit. Like, my people were literally the largest population that was originally in prisons. The prisons were called plantations, but like forced labor, prison, like we've already been through that shit. Why would we want to recreate that under the red flag? So like I'm really, really skeptical. And as a matter of fact, I fucking hate people that act as if like communism is all about depression, is all about repression and like lording it over the people. Like, we are not trying to be new lords.
And so what do you think about Stalinism?
I don't think Stalinism exists. I definitely think that you could, like, there were particular characteristics of the Soviet Union under Stalin's leadership, but like Stalinism as a worked out body of theory, I wouldn't say that it exists. I think that's a term of abuse. Like, that's like me calling you a Trotskyite. But like, yeah, I think that the left in general needs to like move away from all of these like reenactments of ancient personality clashes. But they aren't just personality clashes. So like, they are representations of very different lines regarding how to actually organize and build socialism. But on the other hand, you don't end the line struggle by putting an ice pick in a dude's head.
It would be nice. Well, the class struggle is often violent, but it would be nice if we could, toss away all these old dramas. But the reality is that they don't just represent personal beefs. That those personal beefs were personifications of larger historical forces, and you can't throw away historical forces or historical contradictions. So, but anyway, what else should we? I might have to dip. I don't. Anything else on the agenda?
So you comrades actually got a seat on the NPC this year for the very first time, I believe.
I think so. Yeah.
I actually interviewed Sarah, like, I believe right before a convention. I was initially kind of iffy around reform and revolution because of nasty, icky, gross trots. But you comrades have actually kind of impressed me. Just like the more I get to know and talk to you all, really impressed. Especially with recently you all signed what motivated you all signing the Within Our Lifetimes statement? Everybody expected Liberation to do it because like Maoists love signing statements. We got in trouble because we signed a statement.
Yeah, that was the New York City branch. I'd have to read the statement itself. But
you haven't read the statement?
I haven't read the statement, but
you read everything else.
I don't. There's a lot I don't read. There's too much to read, my guy.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's bad. Tish is bad. What she represents is bad. She's not bad because she's a bad person, although maybe she is. She's bad because she represents not only Zionism, but also the capitulation of Mondami to Zionism, to Trump. And I think that's bad. So, I mean, I don't know.
Let's read the statement. Let's read the statement together, Henry.
Let's take a look.
Yeah. So on November 19th, 2025, NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch announced her decision to accept Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani's offer to remain at her post within his administration. We strongly oppose this decision. Retaining Tisch represents a political alignment with the NYPD's legacy of racialized policing, surveillance, and repression, and a retreat from the values of justice and liberation that Mamdani's campaign claimed to champion. Far from being a minor personnel choice, it is instead a political alignment with the world's largest and most militarized police state, whose record of surveillance, racial profiling, repression, and state violence threatens and criminalizes our community. Mamdani's decision to retain Tish effectively endorses the NYPD's ongoing collaboration with the Israelis' occupation at a time when Gaza and the rest of Palestine are facing a genocide. It undermines the commitments made to the Palestinian community in New York City and to our families living under occupation abroad. At home, Tish's tenure has revived broken windows-style policing that has long terrorized Black and brown New Yorkers. Since Eric Adams took office and appointed Tish as NYPD commissioner, stops of Black and brown New Yorkers have tripled when compared to the previous administration. For nearly 2 decades, Jessica Tish has been central to building the NYPD surveillance state. Beginning in 2008 in the Counterterrorism Bureau, she rose to the department's intelligence division during the height of the city's illegal surveillance of mosques, Muslim student groups, and Arab and Muslim neighborhoods. She later helped construct the NYPD's Domain Awareness System, a multi-billion-dollar network that aggregates surveillance footage, license plate readers, social media data, and biometric information. Creepy Terminator shit. Tish's record is inseparable from the NYPD's direct collaboration with the Israeli occupation. In 2015, she traveled to occupied Palestine as Deputy Commissioner for Information Technology to train with the Israeli occupation forces. She later hosted the top brass of Israel's National Police at NYPD headquarters in November 24, and she marched the Israel Day Parade this past May. In January 2025, Tish oversaw an NYPD training that labeled keffiyehs and watermelons as what?
It's a little long. We should skim through it. I don't know if you want to read every. Can you scroll down a little? Because I just want to. Let me just scan it. Can you scroll down a little more? I think this is good. It just actually dramatically understates who Tish is and actually what she represents. Which again,
you're criticizing the statement, and I haven't even read it all.
No, it's okay. It's okay that people are not aware of the inner workings of the Zionist billionaire or the billionaire apparatus that helps to run American Zionism. But to think that Tish is just a lieutenant and happens to be a billionaire Harris is to misunderstand who she is and what she represents, right? She's the granddaughter of one of the leading...
The guy there, one of the people that helped found the literal fucking CIA.
Well, he didn't found it, but the key thing is the mega group, and it's Whitney Webb explores this, but this group of Zionist billionaires who have helped to build Zionism, and Epstein, Leslie Wexner were involved in developing all these Zionist programs and the police spying, and so that is. To what degree exactly Jessica is involved in that is an open question, but there's no doubt.
Basically, long story short, she's basically a Zionist cadre.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and when you understand that, when you are able to see that, first of all, there's a relation. It's not just that they took Israeli tech and used it in NYPD, but that they're part of a larger project that's tied in with Palantir, that's tied in with earlier iterations of police spying that have been developed by these Zionist billionaires, then it becomes much more sinister. And it also makes more sense that why the Trump administration was so keen to keep her in line. And I would imagine, I don't know for certain, but I would imagine that part of the basically peace agreement between Trump and Mamdani was keeping Tish in place. Although
and that's probably because there's 3 people that he's trying to keep happy. He's trying to keep Trump somewhat happy so that Trump doesn't just fill the city up with the National Guard and try to turn it. People understand, New York literally almost turned into a fucking basket case in the 70s because of a debt crisis. That's literally what, and Trump remembers that. That's what Trump threatened Mamdani with. And, you had Wall Street was threatening capital strikes, capital flight. Basically, we're going to all go to Connecticut or Miami. Ha 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 ha. No tax revenue for you. He's also trying to keep Hochul, however the fuck you pronounce her name, and Jeffries happy. Those are the 3 people who matter in his world right now. So yeah, you're right. That was probably part of that little trade-off. I don't fill your city up with the National Guard, even though ICE is still beating shit out of people on Canal Street.
It's hard to, I get why Mandami would want to come to terms with Trump and not have the National Guard deployed to New York. And it's a tough one. But I mean, it's weird. It's weird to go and meet with someone and the press says, "Do you think this guy's a fascist?" And the guy says, "It's okay, you can say yes, but you're still meeting." You know, the idea that you would meet with, I mean, I don't think Trump is a fascist. I think he is a right-wing authoritarian. It's kind of a
but I think he's a fascist.
He is a murderer. He's been murdering a lot of people in the Caribbean, you know.
You could just say that Trump is a fascist. He's a fascist. He himself says that he's a fascist.
Apparently he does. I mean, we could, you know, I think it's
one of the key things that defines fascism is that fascism is elastic. It's naked repression. It is the rule of the most reactionary segments of the bourgeoisie. Does Trump not fill both of those bills?
There's loads of types of extreme capitalist authoritarianism that are extreme and are not fascist.
You trot. You want to split hairs over everything. The man's a fascist.
To meet with Trump, and the press said, "Is he a fascist?" And Trump said, "It's okay, you can say yes." So obviously, Mandami, you know, thinks that if he's not, maybe like me, if he's not a fascist, it's just as good or just as bad. And the idea that you're making a peace agreement with this person is, you know, it just reveals the unfortunate and incredible.
The Mamdani-Ribbentrop Pact.
I mean, yeah, I guess.
Yeah. So and what happened? The Soviet Union ended up getting invaded anyways.
Speaking of Stalinism, yeah.
Then Mamdali the Stalinist. Molotov Donnie. Maldani.
So
yeah. The statement wraps up. The statement wraps up by saying that every generation has seen politicians win campaigns by speaking of liberation only to side with the state when power calls. The moment is a reminder that political victories are hollow when they become absorbed by the same institutions that perpetuate violence against our people. We will not forget, and we will not be silenced. We stand in solidarity with those who continue to resist the racist police state, imperialism, Zionism, and genocide from New York to Palestine and beyond. Our communities reiterate the legitimacy of our struggles and our right to fight for a city where justice is defined by the people, not the police. So signatories. You have the National Students for Justice in Palestine. You have Within Our Lifetime. You've got Black Alliance for Peace. Jews Against White Supremacy. Cooney for Palestine. Here's the DSA. You have Connecticut DSA, a whole-ass chapter of a whole-ass state. Long Island DSA. DSA Emerge. The Sparts. Liberation Caucus. Libertarian Socialist Caucus. The Marxist Unity Group. Mid-Tennessee. Reform and Revolution. Springs of Revolution. And there's a couple of YDSA chapters as well. So you've Berkeley and Dayton, I believe. And more incoming. So really good. Yeah, like people are like, oh, these guys don't represent anybody. Like, bro.
Yeah, in that interview.
Students for Justice in Palestine. Mamdani, they're like, this is Mamdani's own organization. Like, he literally founded a chapter of Students for Justice in Palestine at his university.
Just back to the Patrick Gaspard.
The what?
The Patrick Gaspard, the South African ambassador to South Africa, the guy who
the Congolese Haitian diplomat, ambassador to South Africa.
Right. The neoliberal George Soros.
An insult to bald people everywhere.
Maybe I should call him a George Soros-ist, not a George Soros-ite, not to offend him. But the point is, he's aware.
Don't make Zohran's friend mad.
The point is that he's aware of this petition. It comes up in the thing, and I mean, he basically says, "Look, he didn't betray anyone because he never said he was going to remove Tish." And I don't.
You should have.
You're right. I don't know. That may be technically true, but obviously it's not in the spirit of the movement. And again, the idea that you would keep someone like this in as a police commissioner is bad.
Yeah, and I'm not buying the whole I'm not buying the rightist explanation like, oh, he's waiting for her to fuck. Like, why would you wait for somebody like for horrible shit to happen? Like if you know that there's Black Widow spiders in your basement, why would you wait for them to bite your fucking kid before you start to eradicate them? Doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. So I'm curious about Liberation Caucus. Can you?
Oh Lord.
What is?
No, we have not. No, we have not killed anybody.
What was that group where the guy was dead in the bathtub? What was that? Ohio?
Dead in the bathtub.
Yeah, there was. Was it the Black Hammer group?
Yeah, that was a sad story.
Yeah,
Ghazi basically got all these like mentally fucked up leftists, and he at the end, because after Hammer City, if you remember that, I don't know like why you thought you were going to build an African commune on the top of a mountain in godforsaken Colorado, but
beautiful
beautiful city.
Colorado.
Yeah,
land's cheap, I guess.
Yeah, but he so he eventually took all the money from that, moved to Atlanta, and he surrounded himself with what remained of his little cult, and he ended up like basically recruiting homeless people off the street and bringing them to this house that he rented, and they ended up getting raided, and one of the dudes he was basically like getting these homeless people and sexually assaulting them in the garage. So this guy ended up taking his own life. He was the Minister of Defense of Black Hammer, I think, because he literally thought he was going to end up getting Fred Hampton. So he basically,
jeez,
yeah, it was that was fucking that shit still fucks me up to this day. There's people that have like PTSD from that shit. It was a horrible fucking time.
I don't wish that on anyone. But I'm curious about, just what is the internal life of Liberation? How long has Liberation come into? I mean, it came onto my radar before convention. It
came into your radar when we made the whole right wing of DSA have a conniption fit by signing a statement of solidarity with the prisoner of war. Yes,
I actually don't remember that, but that could be true. But what is the internal life like? How many members are there? What's the geographic spread? What?
Well, officer,
what do you know? You and Twitter thinks of a Fed. What are some of the Fed knows? This is what blows my. All these people are like, why would you post this online? And you don't understand.
They know.
The security state. People.
They know.
Edward Snowden.
They've got shit that can literally reconstruct text discussions that you thought were long gone, bro. They know.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually much worse than that. Edward Snowden, ex-Keyscore, revealed that they're literally tracking every single thing that every single person is doing online, anywhere.
Yeah. You can
There's
I really want you should watch when I talk to when I talk to Seth Harper on Thursday, because one of the things I want to talk to him about is like the fucking crazy amount of surveillance. Like they can literally watch, they can literally listen to you. I'm not trying to stoke paranoia or anything like that, but like I laugh when I see people like talking about these broad revolutionary schemes on Twitter. Like like you really think that's gonna work? That's how you can tell most of these people are posers. But our internal life, we are a Democratic Centralist Caucus, but we're really big on the whole let 100 flowers bloom thing. And people seem to think that liberation is like BRG's stands or something like that. I'm just a member of the Central Committee. And like I mentioned earlier, like I'm probably like center left to center right. We have quite a few third worldists actually, who I would categorize as the chapter's ultra left. Very nice people, but like so there's definitely like there's different theoretical trends within Maoism. You've got a couple Mao spontex comrades, even Maonarchists.
What'd you say?
Maonarchists. Mao spontex is basically a tendency It's like Maoist
They
anarchism.
just make up their own ideologies. It's ridiculous. I mean,
Yeah.
probably many Leninists and definitely many Trotskyists used to be anarchists. You know, I used to be
A lot of Maoists used to be anarchists.
yeah, but the anarchism, we love them, but it's so silly, and they love inventing new words for their ideologies.
Yeah, you even have Maltrots in your own caucus. We don't have any Maltrots. We even have a couple Gonzalo people.
I refuse to recognize Maoism, Trotskyism as a legitimate ideology.
Okay. You hear that, AJ? You hear that, AJ? Come join Liberation,
and
we'll accept you. We'll accept you in your
I love the idea of caucuses doing. You know how like militaries do like an attaché program, or like a student exchange. Like caucuses should do like an exchange program. I think
we're not letting you into our caucus so you could spy.
You could just send somebody to join. What do you mean? You could just send a member who's not on social media and apply to join and spy if you wanted to spy. No, it's about building. First of all, I got a lot of other things to do. Thank you very much. Behind on a lot of deadlines.
Y'all have been trying to marry, bruh. No Trotskyite spies.
Okay. Do you think that people are trying to spy on you?
Yes.
Who? Why?
You.
No.
You're the spy, De Groot. You even have a fucking shiesty ass. What the fuck type of name is De Groot?
It's Dutch.
I know it's Dutch. Can't trust the Dutch.
They make very good dikes. Beautiful water management system.
Y'all stole Manhattan.
And it was taken back, but I'm not a defender of Dutch imperialism, so I wasn't there. I don't take any
yeah, Dutch is a made-up language. What the fuck is that?
Fascinating. I honestly
that shit actually sounds remarkably like English.
It is I think it's like the closest language to English. It's like 50%.
No, the closest language to English is Frisian, which is like it's basically like a dialect. It's like really close to Old English, which is basically like there's this guy named the Skaldic Bard who like records songs in old European languages.
Where do they
speak? It's the in Frisia. It's like the little so if you look at a map of the Netherlands, you know those little like dots, those islands that are off the coast, that's Friesland.
I see.
Yeah,
anyway,
Dutch people are just swamp Germans. Anyways,
they are lowland German. That's what it means. The Netherlands, the lowlands.
Yeah, swamp Germans.
Yeah.
But anyways, going back to Liberation Caucus, one thing that I criticize a lot of Maoist organizations is that like it's too sclerotic. Like there's no room for debate lest you be labeled a revisionist and cast into the ether. In this case, the ether meaning DSA. But we try to we take line struggle seriously. Like we allow our comrades, our candidates to engage in struggle and discussion. Like we try not to shut down discussion and debate. And also like criticism, self-criticism. That's why we probably our most distinguishing characteristic is being willing to openly criticize not just each other, but also trends within DSA. Like in our founding statement, we literally identified trends of revisionism within DSA that are bad. Social democracy, chauvinism, particularly white chauvinism, male chauvinism. There's a lot of stuff within this organization that has to be struggled against. And for the past few years, decade even, a lot of stuff has been swept under the rug. There's no reason why this organization with almost 100,000 members as of 2021 was only 4% black. Mind you, the Black Liberation Movement is literally why all of these various left organizations, not just DSA, but also PSL, Frizzo, what have you, are able to exist in the form that they have because they're feeding off our energy. So, yet we're only 4% black. That's a sign that this organization...
Something we've been, sorry to cut you off, but we've been talking about in our own caucus about how to how to diversify the caucus and also DSA. Like, if
Stop being trots.
okay, besides that's never going to happen. But besides that, some people maybe are trying. But besides that, what do you think is the solution for, diversity? I mean, some people say, oh, it's all about the internal.
Cultural revolution.
What does that mean?
No, like seriously, like black people are not joining DSA because the culture is fucking alien. Like it's basically oriented around the interests and around the culture of downwardly mobile professional middle class white people. Meetings at microbreweries and gentrified neighborhoods. Like, come on. Like,
you don't like microbreweries?
No.
Okay.
That and
look
like, actually, there's no reason why a couple weeks ago I had some white dude literally say that you play the race card too much. Why is everything down to you being black? Blah 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 blah. Like it's literally sounding like a fucking old ass MAGA Republican from bumfuck Tennessee somewhere. I'm like, wow, this is my comrade. So like, you talk to any black person that's been in DSA, a lot of them have since left. Like it's just everybody has a story of micro or macro aggressions, and people talk. So now you've got people within the movement being like, "Oh yeah, stay away from that particular DSA chapter." It's they still have these people in charge that help drive me out, or like people have had mental health crises because of this shit. Like we can't keep doing this stuff.
I guess
build communities that build committees that do work in the hood. Like, there's no reason why it took a fucking tornado destroying half of Black St. Louis for STL-DSA to go up there and start doing work.
I guess my question is, I think a lot of, I've been in DSA now since, I don't know, 8 years. And since I joined, you're a
decrepit old man.
I'm old. I just turned 30.
Holy shit. I'm older than you. I'm 31.
There you go. You're 94.
Yep.
Very good. Very good. So
you've been in DSA since you were 22.
Yeah, something like that. 2018. So the point is that since I've been in, basically the discourse around how to fix DSA's lack of diversity problem, which is real, has basically been this. It's been, we need to have an internal cultural shift. But whether that's true or not, as the solution, that discourse hasn't led to that solution being enacted, right?
Because people haven't been serious about it.
So what is it that can be done in order to effectuate that change? Like to actually
I think a lot of these people are afraid of large numbers of radical black people or brown people or colonized people in general joining DSA because they're afraid that they're going to hear some things that they don't want to hear. They want to maintain their bubble. They want to keep the same old people running committees. They want to keep the same old people doing the same old ineffectual shit. And it's just like any other organization with its own internal culture built around the particularities of a certain class or ethnic group of people. They do not like newcomers coming in rocking the boat. That's why a lot of people, I think, had such a strong reaction to Liberation Caucus. We've never had organized Maoism in DSA before, so a lot of people either thought it was a joke or they thought it was a bunch of LARPers until we started making actual moves, and they're like, "Oh my God, these people are dangerous. They're the murder caucus."
It's good branding.
Stop just absent-minded. Like some of the shit that I heard people saying about Nerdine from within our lifetime around the statement, like it's just like it's literally like disgusting fucking nonprofit boss talk. Like any mild criticism, y'all act like a fucking cult. Y'all just jump down this grown-ass woman who is literally a fucking lawyer. You jump down her throat and start talking to her like a child. And do you think that Palestinians are not seeing that? Oh, this is how you want to talk to us? You think that Palestinians are not aware of the fact that literally the entire fucking Palestinian Solidarity Working Group or BDS Working Group left the organization? We don't have a Muslim caucus no more. Why? So people talk about this stuff. Like, people aren't stupid. And you have to actually demonstrate that you're serious. That's why I was proud to have been an attendee at convention this year when we passed R22. But we have to, like, we cannot just pass resolutions and be like, okay, we're cool. Can you guys come back now? Can we work with you guys now? No. Where's the actual follow-up? And this shit that Zohran is doing, keeping Tish, making overtures to open Zionists, all this capitulation and stuff, that's not a good look for us. And especially, it's not so much him, but it's the fact that DSA members, open DSA members, are attacking people who should be valuable movement partners. And that leaves a bad taste in people's mouths. Like, nobody, like, I think we should start asking, like, what do we have that Black people do not already have in their own communities? What do we have that Indigenous people do not already have in their own communities? What do we have that
apparently
what do we have that Latino people do not have in their own communities? Like, that's something that we need. Like, we have to start asking, why should these people join our organization en masse? What do we have to offer them?
Yeah, I guess my perspective on this is
too many fucking meetings.
There's a lot of fucking meetings.
Too many fucking meetings about meetings.
Yeah,
I've actually come to love meetings, even though I zone out during half of them.
I do a lot of all my chores, cleaning my room, doing the dishes on Zoom meetings with my camera off. It's fantastic.
Me too.
I think the fact of the matter is, right, that most DSA members are not recruited in an active way, right? They largely come in online, and it's almost like quantitative easing, right? We've been so addicted to, Bernie gets elected and a bunch of people join online. I used to be in a
and then like maybe 10% of those people are ever become active, and maybe 1% of that 10% become anything that we could even remotely call cadre.
Yeah. And
that's why I laugh at people like, oh my God, so many people are joining from Zohran. Okay, how many of those people are still going to be active in the organization 5 years from now? 5 years from now, I don't mean like responding to a fucking casting a vote, however the ruling clique in NYC DSA wants. I mean like actively showing up, leading committees, having led committees, actively engaging with their organization. Like, how many of those many thousands are still going to be here? Like, okay, you joined off a campaign. Cool, dope. Now, like, we have to actually offer ways to onboard these people. Like, I'm really glad that my chapter has a growth and development committee now to actually keep these people. And I'm going to be helping with that. It's not just because of my internet clout. It's because, like, I actually enjoy, like, nothing makes me happier than seeing somebody who I welcomed at a new membership orientation, being like, "Hey, Chris, I'm thinking about doing more work with mutual aid committee. I'm doing like." That's how you start to keep people. And then the next thing you know, they're running for leadership. Like, that's how you actually build, and that's how people learn to actually do DSA, by actually participating. And yeah, a lot of stuff is intimidating. That's why we need active, dedicated internal organizers to actually help make this stuff real for people, so that when you come to a meeting, it's not just some dude standing up in the front rambling about, or God forbid, abusing Robert's rules to force through stuff that he wants. Like, people need to actually know how to do this stuff and actually be in these discussions and actually participate. That's how you build up cadre. Don't just allow people to sit up in the back and raise their card because the guy that recruited me said I should come to this meeting and vote yes. It's a very, very crappy, dare I say, bourgeois way to do politics.
I think, the entirety of DSA is basically a petty bourgeois, self-selecting participation club, right? And I guess,
and a lot of transplants, like a lot of people that move, like, say a person moves from, I don't know, the suburbs to a city like Chicago or St. Louis, They have difficulty making friends with the locals at work. They have difficulty making like actual St. Louis friends, so they end up joining DSA, and they end up like that's how chapters end up becoming 75% transplants. And then I'm not like hardcore anti-transplant, although I don't want people moving to St. Louis. I do not want y'all coming here and driving up our creek. Yeah, I do not want us becoming Boston on the Mississippi. Anyways, but like when you move to a place and you only move, especially if you're white, upper middle class, you live in a bubble. Like you don't interact with the people that work at the gas station. You don't interact with the people that work at the Dollar General. You don't interact with the people that serve you at Burger King, and you only interact with people from your particular class. And even the colonized people that you interact with, they're from your class. So yeah, I love it when people move to St. Louis. They fall in love with our city. There's a lot of cool stuff here, but you also have to truly become of these places that you move to, and ensure that you're not a parasite, a gentrifier, a YIMBY, or any of these other weirdos that actually ruin the characters that make these cities places that you love. Like that shit happened to Boston.
Yeah, old dirty Boston is dead and gone.
Yeah. Well, I do like how they gentrified all the racist Irish out of Southie.
Well, some of them are still there.
Oh,
and it's all Connecticut, blonde girls from Connecticut now. But I guess my point though was when I was in a cadre organization, we did get some online recruits, but probably 8 in 10 new recruits were hard won on the street selling a newspaper, which I actually love, selling Trotskyist newspapers. But we have a beautiful magazine. Everyone should subscribe.
Nobody's gonna buy your magazine.
It's actually profitable, first of all. Second of all, it's
communists love profit.
I'll send you one.
I don't want you sending. What am I going to do with a Trot magazine besides use it to wipe my ass?
You'll appreciate the beautiful Leninist articles. Thank you very much. Now, the point. Let me make this point. Is if we were 8 in 10 of our new recruits were coming in through active recruitment, right? So if we wanted to diversify, we could choose where we were tabling. Okay, we're tabling a lot in Cambridge and Jamaica Plain, which are more white. Let's go table in Roxbury or in Eastie. We could actually choose. And then, okay, you table for a couple hours, you get 20 contacts. You can put a star next to somebody's name and you can actually do affirmative action. You can say, we want more comrades of color. We can only do so many one-on-ones this week. We're going to prioritize. But in DSA, probably 95 or 90% of new recruits are coming in passively, right? Through online. Somebody's not going out, talking to a contact, and then actively saying you should join DSA, right? So a lot
of these people never show up to a single meeting.
Right. And so there's no ability to do affirmative action if your whole recruitment is totally passive, right? There's no ability to prioritize the recruitment and development of comrades of color if you're not actively recruiting or developing anybody, right? In a systematic way. And so I think that's one of the when DSA was reborn, in 2015 or so, like it wasn't because the DSA comrades this isn't to poo-poo them, but it wasn't like they did an amazing job intervening in the Bernie campaign and all those recruits were hard won based on their intervention. It was literally just because Bernie said, I'm a Democrat, even though he's really a social democrat, he said democratic socialist. People liked Bernie, and then you could just sign up for DSA online. And then it kind of snowballed from there. But the point is, we have this again, quantitative easing, this easy membership growth that isn't based on an intentionality. And so therefore you don't develop this intentionality, and therefore you can't pivot that intentionality to focus on recruiting and developing people of color. And so I think that's one of the fundamental things. And you'll never have that as long as you rely on amateur volunteerism. We need staffers at the local level in order to drive real organizing. The idea that any other nonprofit, any union would operate at such a low staff to member ratio is insane. But DSA, even though many chapters have 40 or 60 or more $1,000 in the bank account and could, if they wanted to, if they meant, if they put their back into it, raise precipitous local dues and fund a staffer, even if it's not a full timer, 20 hours a week or 10 hours a week can go a long way, and it's not that expensive. People are very resistant.
You think the rank and file though would accept the rise in dues to pay somebody though, to hire a staffer?
I think people would sign up for, yeah, absolutely, voluntary local dues in order to, and it's not about accepting. If you hired a staffer, you could have them make calls and do a dues drive. It would be self-funding. And that's what we've done with Working Mass, which I help run.
Y'all have a staffer?
We have a 7-hour-a-week staffer, Travis, who helps to keep it running. We have a bigger staff than the chapter. And probably, I think only New York, maybe Seattle has some staff. So if you put
maybe it's just the Maoist voluntarism in me.
But that's
like, I just look at
teaches us that it's the professional revolutionaries, and that doesn't mean necessarily on the payroll, but it does mean, I mean, that's sort of a part of it, that are able to hold down the base of the movement and actually allow for greater, not less participation, but greater.
So my question would be like, how do we ensure that like political correctness of this staffer? Like, politics has to be in command. I just don't want DSA turning into a political equivalent of a business union.
Well, here's the thing. Actually, there are loads of chapters that have people who are staffers who are working for sort of the big DSA, not national, but they're working for DSA campaigns. And those staffers are totally unaccountable to the chapter, right? There's always going to be issues around the politics of staff or whatever. But if it's what is a campaign? A campaign is a private economic enterprise, right? The candidate is the CEO. They go to donors. Those are the investors, and they hire a staff, and that staffer is accountable to the candidate. And not only that, but the whole economic unit there's a tendency to be more opportunistic, right? Why is it that, think about how many staffers are there in New York City DSA if you exclude national staff, right? I think there's 2 or 3 local staff that work for the chapter. There's probably something like 25 or 30 other DSA staffers who don't work for the chapter, don't work for national, work for DSA electeds, right? And so, of course, the right wing, and almost all of those, if not all of those, are aligned with the 2 moderate mass politics caucuses, as they like to say. So how would you lose a local chapter election if you have 28 staffers and the left has 0 staffers, right? It's impossible. How could you possibly lose, right? Mm-hmm. And so actually those 2 caucuses are functioning in a much more Leninist way in reality. Even
rightist Leninism?
Right, just because they have staff. It turns out if somebody can spend 40 or 50 or 30 or 60 hours a week doing organizing, they can do a lot of organizing, right?
Yeah.
And they can
that's why I'm like, okay, like when I think of staff, especially with the whole Farrago a few years ago, I just as Fano would say, instantly reach for my knife. Like, it's an incredibly easy thing. Like, okay, basically the clique that has control, they hire all their own people.
That's potentially a problem, but
basically you have member dues that are being used to fund sectarianism and factionalism.
That's possible, but
that's the case.
If you don't have local chapter staff and you only have staff that are accountable to elections, then yes, there's potential for local chapter staff to be influenced, but it's much, much more likely there's far, far less accountability on election staff than there is on chapter staff. At least with chapter staff, they have to, you have the opportunity to run for leadership or to have people elected to leadership. Hopefully you have a democratic chapter where it's not winner take all, where you can have proportional representation. And the chapter, the membership in setting priorities, the chapter leadership in providing direct guidance to the staff can help to set that. So is there still, potential for cliques? Or obviously if the chapter is totally controlled by one caucus, that staffer is likely to, be pulled in that direction. But the alternative, just to abdicate that, to say we're not going to do that because maybe there could be issues, is to just say the right-wing caucuses, which is the majority of the ones who are running election campaigns, are going to have all the local staffers, and they're going to be totally unaccountable to the chapter membership. So I don't think we should disarm and allow them to have a monopoly on local staff. I think that's suicidal in terms of the internal dynamics within DSA. And our movement needs, it's insane to try to overthrow capitalism with such a small number of staff or no staff at the local level. Think about what it takes to run one Starbucks. I used to work at Dunkin' Donuts, right? We had, I don't know, a dozen, wasn't a big Dunkin' Donuts. We didn't have a drive-through, but we had like a dozen people. And so DSA, if you exclude electoral staff, like campaign people who work for campaigns, you just take the national staff and the very small number of local staff, throw in the working mass, throw in our 7 hours a week staffer. We have like the same amount of staff to try to overthrow capitalism, or even to just do social democracy, as 2 or 3 Dunkin' Donuts, to run 2 or 3 Dunkin' Donuts, which is a bigger task.
Still overthrowing capitalism.
Yeah, right.
Maybe I should do some research. Maybe I should see if the Black Panther Party had staffers.
I'm sure that they did. Absolutely. Yes. It's a normal part of Leninism. And it's not just a normal part, it's a fundamental part of Leninism to have professional revolutionaries. That's what a true cadre is, a full-time party worker. And militant, our forebears in the UK, where, which helped found the CWI, they abused the unemployment system, the dole, as it's called, the unemployment system in the UK, which is like, it's you get less money, but you get it basically for an unlimited amount of time.
They hustled off the dole.
They had 200 full-timers.
That lived off the dole.
A lot of them did. Yeah. Some of them.
Okay.
So they had 200 full-timers, and they had a membership of around, I think it was 5,000 or 10,000. So, 5 times, so far smaller organization, and they had 3 members of parliament. It was not a small group. It was a mighty group. But
so they had the members of parliament living off the dole too.
They were not living off the dole, but
what do you call basically getting paid? What do you call getting paid out of the public purse to run your fucking mouth? That's living off the dole.
Well, it's not literally, but you could say yes. They were living off the public paid salary. Although they were donated, they were taking a worker's wage, right? So they were donating, as Sean Masawant did, as our reps in Ireland do, donate the majority or whatever the percentage is. They live on a skilled worker's wage, and they donate the rest, and that funds, usually it funds around one more additional full-time staffer.
Fascinating.
Which all public electeds should live on. They don't need to live on a minimum wage, but they should live on what they are, which is a skilled worker.
Yeah, that's how Lenin did it. They during the Bolsheviks, they literally capped public official salaries at the average skilled worker's wage. That's something I support. Like, there's no way you should not be getting rich off of politics.
Yeah, that's true. Not that public electeds don't actually make that much relative to what they could do in the private.
No, but they levy the connections that they make through politics into personal fortunes for themselves, right. Especially through insider trading, like Nancy Pelosi does.
Well. But the point is that we will never move beyond amateurism and without local staff. And we will not be able to, whatever priority the chapter votes on, it doesn't really matter because all the chapter members, let's say there's 3 or 4 proposals that go up to the chapter annual meeting to vote on for a priority campaign. Okay. I have mine, you have yours, there's a third. We vote, yours wins. am I going to work on your campaign, or I'm just going to keep doing my pet project? I'm not
No,
going to.
you're gonna work. You're gonna work on my campaign.
I don't have, but in DSA, nobody's forced to do that, right?
You're gonna work on my campaign.
Right. Right, but you can't, right? So members can't be coerced to do that.
You're gonna work on my campaign.
But if you have staff, then you can control those resources, right? If you it matters if you say, okay, we're going to have our staffer do 50%, basic, 25% admin, 25% recruitment and membership development, and 50% priority campaign work. Then it really matters what the outcome of that vote is, right? Because that staffer is, if you win the vote, you're getting that 50%. So that's, in a sense, it's democratic centralism of the resources. You can, and now it still allows for people to go where they want to go, but then that staffer is going to be on the phones saying, hey, we voted on this priority campaign. Here's why it's important. We're meeting Tuesday and Thursday for canvassing. Can you make it? Right. And they're going to be mobilizing beyond the sort of pet project people who are going to go where they're going to go anyway. I don't care what the Boston DSA votes on. I can't really abandon working mass. I need to support it, but it's also what I care about. So that's what I'm going to keep doing. If the chapter votes to prioritize mutual aid, look, I'm not going to do it. I got other stuff to do. But if the chapter votes to prioritize mutual aid and we have a staffer, that staffer is going to engage the broader membership of people who don't have a pet project, and they're going to get people to participate in that mutual aid. Hopefully it's something more strategic. But the point is that
maybe we should just like become an actual party where like people don't just have their own little silos, where if it's democratically determined that this is what we're going to be working on, everybody gives their effort to that. Otherwise they're breaking democratic centralism.
It's possible in small chapters, but I think eventually your chapter gets so large that it's just you can't just, there's no way to like will people into that. You can increase the commitment through political education and good leadership and whatnot, but there's no way to force people to do that. And it might be good because DSA members don't always make the right decisions. And so that's okay. But anyway, the point is, to get to the next level, we need to do serious organizing that's consistent and that's democratic, right? That's actually, and to do intentional recruitment. If you have a staffer doing 25% of their time is recruitment, and you wanted more if you have an understanding of which people on the contact list or which new recruits are people of color, you can that staffer can prioritize calling people of color, right? You can vote.
Hey, Mr. Black Guy. Hey, would you like to join like BSA? Come hang out where we're meeting at.
Hire you, as Lennon says, we should bring more work, and you can translate from worker to people of color. He's talking about diversifying away from intelligentsia to worker Bolsheviks. He says we should be providing party resources to invest in our working class members, and we could be operating diverse staff, right? What better way to increase the diversity of the chapter than to hire one of the comrades of color to help run campaigns, right? Then they're full
DSA shall pay reparations.
That's not what it is, but I believe that by hiring people of color, that would be a tremendous, we should hire the best candidate, but that is one element of it.
For every white man, there's a black woman that could do it 5 times better.
That could be true.
That is true.
And so
that's a material fact.
Right. And certainly in terms of if the priority is to recruit people of color, there's no doubt that it's going to be the best candidate is going to be themselves a person of color. And
so I take it to support stipends for NPC members.
I do. Yeah. I mean,
Me too.
It's first of all, we have the money. I think that NPC members do a lot of work, and not all of them have. I don't like to denigrate people as like email jobs. Like I think people.
I do.
That's okay.
Not everybody sits on their ass and gets paid $175,000 a year to send out emails. Yes,
right.
Some people have real jobs.
That's right. Not what I mean. It just reflects a lack of awareness of what actually people are doing. So
because they live in a petty bourgeois bubble, Hank.
But I'm not going to argue that it is a petty bourgeois. You know, the professional class is part of the petty bourgeoisie. But the point is, there's a lot of comrades who are working class jobs that do not pay very much, who need to work overtime to pay their rent, and the NPC takes up a lot of their time, and we can and should afford them the monies to be able to do that. And also that I'm not saying we should get rid of staff. I think it's great to have professional DSA staff.
How the fuck you make Cooper? You joking? $4 a fucking hour? You get a tip for each email you send? That's a fucking waitress wage, bro. $4 an hour in Philly. I'll come and leave you some canned goods outside your cardboard box. Jesus Christ. Yeah, like Sarah or like Comrade Cliff, who's literally an EMT who makes, if I recall correctly,
he said
$17 an hour. So
yeah, depending
on for you to be from Boston, you use the letter R a lot.
And not everyone has a super strong accent, but I am from here. My parents are from Chicago, so they didn't give me the accent. But I say rum though instead of room, if that helps. That's the real distinction is the long O, the oo. So
all the people that talk like Peter Griffin got gentrified out of the city, I guess.
That's not untrue. Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of I mean, most Bostonians, if you go around, most people don't have a strong Boston accent. Even many people who are from here, I think most
like regional. The interesting thing is like I routinely run into like Zoomers or people our age with like from the South that have like either a very mild or no accent. Like regional accents are actually dying out in major part because of the influence on the internet. It's basically giving us like this like flat internet accent.
Absolutely.
Like even at St. Louis, like we still like do the whole like there, all that shit. But like the older white people, they do 44 and all that. I say it occasionally because like nearly all of my teachers in school were white boomers that grew up in the 60s and 70s. So yeah, but like most people don't talk like that anymore. But it's funny because like hipsters that move to these cities, they actually love those accents and they're trying to bring them back.
I remember I had a friend who had a Boston accent growing up, and I was just like, man, I wish I had a Boston accent. And he's like, dude, you can just talk like this. And then when I worked at Dunkin' Donuts, I put on a Boston accent. It was good fun. But hey, I gotta go.
We're out of fucking coffee. Now come back another day.
Yeah, sweetheart, here you are. Cream and sugar.
That is a fucking ugly ass accent. But anyways, this has been Hank the Great that just rambled for a half an hour about staffers and the finest DSA tradition.
I believe in local staff. We need to escalate and professionalize our organizing. That's the Leninist thing to do. And if we don't, not just the left caucuses, but if the left caucuses don't in the chapters, the moderate caucuses are doing that, right? And we should run electoral campaign, our own candidates, but they're going to outclass us in running candidates. And those campaigns have staffers. And they're under pressure to accommodate to the wider layers of the population, right? To be more opportunist. And so...
See, this is how you hypnotize a trot. Give them something to read.
Do you want to see our beautiful print magazine?
Yeah, I'll look at your magazine.
Give me one second.
You're very proud of your magazine. I will look at your magazine. He actually left the room to go get me the magazine. Oh, look at that pretty picture. Is that supposed to be like a guy walking behind them or something?
It's 3 construction workers. I've had this all my life. It's an uncle did it. I like to think it's about international class solidarity, but I asked my aunt and she said he wasn't really that political. But this is
Stalin would probably have that burned.
because he hates art. He doesn't know. Anyway, look at this beautiful. We did this Lenin
Ooh.
Lenin in the trade union movement with these pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. If you give me one of those, I'm going to put it in the shoebox with all my convention souvenirs.
And then this is our new our
Oh wait, I still have one of my convention souvenirs. It's been sitting next to my computer all fucking for like 5 months.
Nice.
Somebody from Red Star just shoved this thing into my hand.
That's good. All right,
I really wanted one of those fucking lacquer pins they had, but nah. Anyways, it was very nice talking to you, Hank the Groot. This is a Maoist in a trot. We did not walk into a bar, but I also did end up putting an ice pick in Buddy's head. So we're learning.
My head appreciates it, but I love to come back sometime, and we'll be in touch.
Yes. Let's end. I swear allegiance. Say it.
Is this a bit? I'm not familiar. I don't
say.
I
pledge my heart and soul.
No, I won't do that. Sorry.
Ugh. Scum, Trotskyite scum. Anyways, peace out, Henry.
Cheers. Bye.